Welcome back to my channel. This video is about my new routine for a positive mindset. It has been a long time since I've posted. I haven't posted in months, not since last year. I was thinking about this earlier and I was thinking that that it was because I didn't know exactly where it was that I wanted to go with my channel. And then I realised that actually no, that wasn't the case at all. I actually knew exactly why I wanted to go with my channel, but I think I just didn't feel ready to create the content that I really wanted to create. I know that probably sounds like it makes no sense. So one of the things is that there is some content that I do really want to create. I think for any of you who already follow me, you know that I'm really passionate about fashion and that fashion is always part of what I wanted this channel to be. I always wanted it to be split between fashion and positivity and mindset. And right now with where my wardrobe is, I feel like the fashion content I would create wouldn't actually be the content that I really want to create. So right now I think I'm going to have to hang back on the fashion just for a little bit until I get it a little bit more to where I want it to be, and to a point where I have the pieces that some of the pieces that I really want to share with you, where I can sort of create the type of content, the type of fashion content that I really want to create. But the positivity mindset is definitely still a go, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. So this video isn't just about creating a routine for positive mindset in general, it's actually about the new routine that I've personally started. So for a while I kind of felt like any routine I had sort of fallen away a little bit. I wasn't getting up in decent time, the time that I kind of wanted to get up at. And so that is the first thing. So I would say the first thing that I have done is I have worked on my getting up times, which also for me has meant working on my going to bed times. Because I do not function well on anything less than about 7.5 hours sleep. So I know that if I don't go to bed early, then the whole getting up plan is already gone out the window. So I've been working on a new routine of going to bed, and honestly the getting up time has varied. Now obviously if you're someone who works and you actually have to get up early, then you've already got this one sorted. But I really wanted to share with you, some of the things that maybe I had struggled with and that have really started to make a positive impact for me. So that's the first thing I've changed, is really getting into routine with bedtimes and getting up times. So before I go on to the second point, I'd like to share with you how it's actually helped me. So I've just felt like getting up early, I think it's so much easier to naturally feel like you're in a positive place when you get up earlier. But the other thing for me is, even if I get up and let's say I've had a bad dream, this is something that happens to me. Let's say I've had bad dreams and I get up and I'm not in a good place. I do feel like I have so much more time to work on myself to getting into a good place. Because I have more time, it means that I can really put so much more time into my self-care, into, let's say, working on my mindset, working on feeling good, working on my manifestation techniques. And it's actually just been making me feel really more productive as well. Like, even if I don't get a lot more done, at least I feel like I'm up, I'm doing things, at least I'm working, let's say, on my health, I'm working on my body, I'm working on exercise. And it's just really had that overall effect of, firstly, giving me more chance to be productive, and secondly, just making me feel more productive. Now, this might be a routine for some people. I know that some people are really into exercise, but honestly, this is not something that was ever a thing for me before. Honestly, exercise was something that a lot of the time really just wasn't on my radar, and I know that it should have been. I think a lot of the time I really felt like I was focused on, let's say, things like mindset. I was focused on trying to get into a good place, but I was also focused on, I was also very much focused on my goals and where I felt I needed to go. And so in my mind, I was always sort of thinking, oh, well, getting into, getting really healthy with my body, that is something I'll do later. When I am where I want to be, then I'll focus on that goal. But you know what? The truth is that all of the various areas of your life actually feed into one another. And this is something that I already knew, I just think I was somewhat in denial. So I decided that I really wanted to focus on being healthy, on things like exercise, on taking care of my body. Now, I don't usually do exercise for the sake of exercise. I'm not the sort of person who is likely to enjoy, let's say, going to a gym. And I know some people really, really enjoy things like that, but it's not something that's ever really felt motivating for me, or that's ever really it's not something I've ever really felt inspired to do. I don't know whether any of you here, whether any of you watching this actually relate to that. But I really was someone who never actually felt inclined to exercise for the sake of exercise. So I would love exercising if I used to go to dance classes. When I was in London, I used to do 5 rhythms classes. I used to go to those, and I'd do that for maybe an hour and 3/4, and I absolutely loved it. One of the other things I used to do is tennis. When I was younger, I used to play tennis, and I loved that. So I love exercising for a reason. I love exercising when there's a purpose. I just never really liked exercising for the sake of exercising in and of itself. But walking is something I actually really enjoy because I put my earphones in, I listen to my music. I really, really love music. It's something that really moves me, and that is something that makes me feel motivated. So what I've been doing is I've been getting up in the morning and I've started going for a walk in the morning. And I'm really right at the beginning of starting this new routine, but honestly, I've already started to see the positive effects of it. By the way, if the lighting is really odd, it's because the sun has literally just started coming through the trees. So there's like this dappled light. It was fine before, but it's the sun is literally at like this exact angle where it's just coming through the trees. So I've just seen that the light started moving off on and off my face. I feel like I look kind of like a prism. It's kind of an odd thought. But honestly, I've already started seeing the positives to these changes, because before I felt like I always felt like I was good at getting into a good place. I know the steps, I know the processes that work for me. You know, I'm really passionate about personal development. I'm really passionate about mindset, and I knew the techniques to get myself into a good place, and I could get myself there. But what would often happen is I would be there for a certain amount of time, and I would feel really, really great, and then something would set in. It might be a doubt, it might be a fear, and suddenly I would spiral. And then I would sort of fall off from where I was and fall out of the vortex, and then I would have to build it back up again. And that's fine. It's fine to have to build it back up again. But what I was finding was I was sort of constantly up, down, up, down. So I was up, I was in a really good place, and then I was down. But when I mean down, I mean sort of like really, really down. So I would fall off, and I would fall off hard. And that's something that I was really experiencing a lot. And so when I was in those places, when I was actually feeling really down, it meant that I couldn't really see where I was. So I'm getting the light dappled through the trees again. It meant that I couldn't really see where I was going because I was down. That everything was feeling less clear because I was feeling less connected, feeling less spiritually connected. So I would suddenly feel lost. Whereas before I maybe felt like I knew what my direction was, I knew what I needed to do. Suddenly I would be down and I would have all of these thoughts getting in the way. And then suddenly I wouldn't know exactly what it was that I needed to do, and I would feel lost, or I'd feel like I was struggling, or like I didn't really know where I was going. And so since I've started these new techniques, since I've started doing this walking in the morning, since I've started really getting on top of my sleep, I've really started to notice that I'm in a good place, but I'm actually in a good place much more consistently. Like I haven't had the same dips, and even when I've had that dip, maybe where I've fallen off, maybe I've fallen out of that place where I have felt really, really good, maybe I've fallen out of the vortex, I've actually been able to get back up relatively quickly in comparison to how I was before. But I've also noticed that I've actually been in a really good place much more consistently. And the third thing I've been doing is repeating an affirmation. Now, I've used affirmations before, I've used them in journaling, but the difference between what I did before and what I'm doing now is that previously, when I was using affirmations, I would take several affirmations and I would write a list. So let's say I was doing my gratitude journaling, then I'd turn the page, and on the next page I would write a list of affirmations. So it would be a bit like scripting. I would choose various ones and I would write them all down. Whereas now I'm actually doing something quite different. So I was listening to some of Bob Proctor's material. I don't know whether you're familiar with his material, but he's someone who I've really looked up to for a long time. And I was listening to some of his material recently, and he was talking about using an affirmation. This was actually about money mindset specifically, and he was talking about using an affirmation and basically writing it out repeatedly. So I decided to give it a try. So I chose an affirmation and I've been writing it out. The amount of times I've written it out has varied. Of course, affirmations can actually be quite long. I found that in my journal, this is my journal here, I found that in my journal, on one page, I can actually only fit 5. So it really can take a little bit of time to write them out, but I write them out a different number of times depending on how much time I have, depending on how I'm feeling in the evening or whatever time it is that I write them. So what I would do if I wanted to replicate this, if you wanted to actually do something similar, is I would choose the area of your life that you really want to focus on. And realistically, that's going to be personal for everybody. So choose the area of your life that you really want to work on, where you really want to see change. And I would create your own affirmation. I mean, you can use an affirmation that someone else has suggested, or you can create your own, and whatever you feel works well for you. And start writing out your affirmation every day, and decide maybe on the minimum amount of times that you're going to write it. At this point, it's only been a few days of me doing this, but I've already started to notice a difference in my focus, a difference in the amount of ideas that are coming to me related to the topic that I'm trying to focus on at the moment. And putting all of these together, I can already see a massive difference in my mindset, in how positive I'm feeling every day. And I know that I'm still really early on in this process of this new routine in particular, but I really wanted to share it with you. I wanted to share it with you now, and then later on I will, maybe do another video on it and let you know where I am later at that point and how it's helped me, how much it's helped me and in what way later on. But I really wanted to share it with you now. Because like I said, I've already noticed really positive changes, and so it was something that I just really wanted to share. So I hope that this has been helpful for you in some way. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your experience has been. If you're trying to change your routine, if you have changed your routine, if you've been working on your mindset, share your experiences in the comments. I'd love to read them. Leave my Instagram handle down below so you can follow me on there if that's something you'd like to do. I'll also leave the link to my social media channels, any of my online courses in the description below. And I will see you in the next video. I'm hoping to get back into a routine of posting more regularly. Diving back into YouTube is something that I do really want to do. So hopefully I will see you again here very soon. Take care.